they're saying it is.
But what is the ulterior motive? What are they trying to get out of it? I mean, is it just a sort of a conservative, religious, moral objection?
There's a lot of that. I'm still learning a lot about the history of this battle and of the...
Yeah, you must be learning a lot about it.
Oh, yeah, it's been a crash course, and I still have a great many things to learn.
Are you thinking about being a stripper ever?
You know, I will keep that information to myself.
Okay.
But, you know, it is... it's not something that I think... clothing and attire that is worn in strip clubs, and you have, you know, young girls like myself or younger or older buying, you know, the clear heels, the really long nails, the kind of harness style outerwear that's fashionable right now, and
That's what Tom's wearing.
It looks great in it also. And that's, you know, that's really popular right now. It's really fashionable. It's really cool to align yourself with that. But then you also have a lot of those same people, you know, going and in their day-to-day conversations saying things along the lines of like, oh, well, I don't think it's wrong, but I would never.
The Bywater Bakery. You know,
Everywhere.
Wherever. Oh,
right.
Well, not everywhere, but, you know.
Right.
I don't play at the Maple Leaf, for instance.
Do you ever...
Except this coming week I will for Booker's birthday. But
cool. Yeah. As Booker's birthday is in December as well. What date is that?
I think it's the 17th.
That's weird because Professor Longhair's birthday is the 19th.
Yeah, they're all
I
together.
never realized
There's a Neville in there, too.
Wow. Are you playing at the Professor Longhair thing as well?
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing two of those in a week?
Well, there's just not that many people who are doing this stuff.
Well, there aren't that many people who can play piano like you, that's for sure. There's like, you can count them on one hand and you still have a couple of fingers to spare, actually.
To play the bass.
but that's just the way it was. And
But you can play anything. What do you? Because you're like even when you're not playing classical music, it sounds classical somehow.
oh well,
Not in a bad way, I don't mean. I mean
Well,
in a good way. It's some sort of a touch you've got that's.
yeah, I have facility. I can play lots of notes quickly.
Not just that. It's not that at all. It's a feel. So let's.
Well, I've really made a point of studying. You know, I moved here in '84, and
Okay. Is that sick or what?
that's great.
That is such a brilliant piece of music too. You know, what's funny is John Groh had actually posted a video last week.
I saw
you
that.
see
In
that
fact,
video
I was working on trying to steal some licks from that performance.
Yeah, and he's another guy that's just great with that style.
Yes, he
and
is.
that's always been one of my favorite New Orleans style piano songs.
Do you play the piano too, Brentt?
I
right?
do a little bit. Yeah,
Can you play anything like that at all?
not that good.
No. But are you in the
Well,
same?
I play no drums at all, so you're
safe
you're
there.
ahead.
Yeah, I started piano when I was around 10 or 11, mostly to facilitate a writing tool.
Right.
I did take some formal lessons, but it was mainly, you know, as I got older and progressed, was more of an instrument to be able to write.
What made you move to drums?
Well, I was always a drummer. My dad is a drummer. My dad was a local New Orleans musician for years. He played in Lee Dorsey's band. He was in Lee Dorsey's touring band from you know, like 1977 to when Lee died, like in '86.
That must have been a hell of a life. Was he on the road a lot? Was he gone a lot?
He, they did a lot of just one-offs, so they were kind of gone on the weekend, and they did, actually, funny enough, they did one major tour with The Clash of all bands. So Lee Dorsey, The Clash were huge Lee Dorsey fans, apparently, at this point in time. This was in and around 1982, and they wanted Lee to open.
Yeah, the British New Orleans connection.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
It's been going on forever.
Well, it's funny because my dad told me, you know, the stories about these guys would walk around with jam boxes with Professor Longhair blaring.
Right.
Well, Fats Domino.
They were long hair fans, the guys in The Clash.
They were the huge fan of New Orleans music. So, hence them getting Lee Dorsey to go on a road.
So your dad went on the road with The Clash. Did he have some good stories about
the crazy
sex, drugs, and rock and roll?
I remember this one story he told me. I think it was the first gig that they did, which was in Philly, and there was a beginning of tour party that they had for the band and the tour, and of course they were all invited, right? So, and you know, I guess you would have to put yourself in the situation of being, you know, in the room with these all of these British guys that are, you know, I mean, this is punk rock. This is early 1980s. So my dad said the first thing I see when we walk in is this big line of television sets all put together with porn, war, nuclear explosions, just all of this bizarre footage, women walking around topless, big plates of cocaine on the table, everyone has a joint hanging out of their mouth. So he goes, that was my first introduction into...
that was day one.
That was day one. And that went on for, I believe, like 20 days.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And he had a wife and kids at home at that point.
He did.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have a sister. I have a sister that is 8 years younger.
What's her name?
Lindsay.
How many Y's at the end of Lindsay?
Just one.
Just the one?
Yeah. I'm the different one.
Did we ever get a hold of Dad? What does he do now, your dad? Is he still playing?
He actually does still play. He plays in a kind of 60s throwback.
Really?
They do all like 60s hippie type music. But he's actually a contractor. He's a general contractor.
Oh, really? So he got out of the music business?
The business, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he did. And but he still plays. He was a huge influence on me. I mean, I remember, you know, as a kid being at C. Saint Studios and watching them record, because they were... at that time, they were sort of, you know, sort of like the Funk Brothers for this period of time at C. Saint. So they did a lot of recording with like Huey Piano Smith, Lee.
So they were the guys in the band at C. Saint Studio. So he would go to work every day, basically.
He did, yeah.
With Alan Toussaint.
For several years, they did that.
I wonder how much they got ripped off. I mean,
I don't think you made $1.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, they sat there and played those sessions. They probably got a couple of bucks a day.
I don't think they got that.
They got nothing? They must have got paid something. Weren't they getting paid in those days, Tom? You were almost here then.
Well, the thing is, session musicians never got paid part of the publishing or any of that, and oftentimes they make the recording. You know, they're so important to the recording.
Well,
but that's just the nature of that world. You know,
Yeah,
well, back in those days. Yeah.
I mean, when I moved to LA, you know, I moved to Los Angeles in and around 1996 to pursue a career, and you know, luckily is when I got the audition for Fiona. But as far as like doing sessions, I started doing sessions in and around LA, and I was, you know, getting $250 a day, and I thought that was like just amazing.
Yeah.
And well, come to find out, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, I was new there, no one knew me, so I wasn't going to get top dollar. I mean, no matter how good your skill level is, or you know.
What does a Fiona Apple audition look like? What happened?
You know, it wasn't much, because it was just actually me and the MD.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and this is right before Tidal was released. So that was her first record that had shadow boxer. That was her first hit. So she was she wasn't very well known yet. That's I had gotten a call from a friend of mine saying, they offered me this gig with this chick Fiona Apple that Sony just signed, and she's going to be like their next one. And I can't do the tour because he was actually playing with Beck. He was playing with Beck at the time, and he couldn't do the gig.
You're really in the circle at this point.
Well, I was starting to creep in because it's a very, very small circle, and it's, it was it's there's a lot of luck involved. I mean, there really is, So I said, yeah, sure, man. I'd only been in LA for not even a year, and so I walk in this room and I meet this guy, and they sent me a demo, and I ripped through it was like the most simplest thing ever, and I walked out of there. I was like, what the shit was that? Like that really how this works? Like I'm in LA. Like I was expecting so much more, but.
So that was it.
It wasn't there. So then I got a call. They called me literally a couple hours later saying, "All right, man. Well, you want to do this?" And it's like, "Sure." So did a couple rehearsals. I actually didn't meet her to the first gig.
So she walks out on stage.
She didn't even show up to sound check. Actually, we just went on stage and actually went through it, and but it was an interesting experience because it gave me a very good picture of how things worked in the industry, because we started out playing venues that were 200, 300 people, not only within a month, 2 months later, venues were 1,500, 2,000. Then a couple months after that, it was like it really started to happen for her. So then that went on for about a year, and then of course she was a huge star at the end of that year. And
so what happens to the guys in the band? Are you getting paid more as the show gets more popular?
I was making $800 a week.
From beginning to end?
From beginning to end.
They don't pay you more when you're in a hit band?
Oh, no, absolutely not. Well, the next go around, I'm sure the money increased. But, touring musicians nowadays, I mean, unless you're playing in like a legacy act like Styx or Journey or a band like that, you're going to make $1,500, a couple $1,000 a week, maybe tops. Which isn't bad. I mean,
sounds okay.
That's not bad at all. But compared to making $4 or $5 grand, or if you play with Paul McCartney and make $25,000 a week, which
is that what you get if you're in Paul McCartney's band?
There's only one Paul McCartney.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what he pays his guys.
How do you get into that gig?
You don't.
Somebody's got to play drums with Paul McCartney.
Well, he's actually had the same band like Abe Laboriel Jr. on drums. Paul Wickens on keys, which is sort of like his MD. He's been there for years, and he's a great player. He's got a great band. I'm sure you guys have seen Paul, right? I assume.
Certainly heard of him.
Right, you heard of the guy, right? You ever heard of the Beatles? You ever heard of them? No. But for me, it was a great, a good move to LA. My mother actually had remarried and moved there, so it was easy. I had a place to stay.
Right.
So
what made you leave and come back here then after all these years of success?
I love New Orleans. I mean, it's where I grew up.
Right.
This is like my home. This is my hometown, and I've always planned on moving back here at some point in time. And my wife actually got pregnant again. And
that was your responsibility.
It was.
Right? Not someone
did
else's.
it. No, I did it. Yeah.
Not Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, no.
He wasn't involved. How did you meet Dennis Rodman in the first place?
I actually met Dennis when I was playing with Fiona. He was playing in San Antonio at Spurs.
He was playing basketball.
Yeah.
She was.
And we, I don't know, man. We hit it off. We became friends, and then
that's just too easy, though, isn't it? I became friends with Dennis Rodman. He seems to be the strangest person on earth.
Dennis is, despite what he portrays himself to be publicly, he is one of the best human beings I think I've ever met.
Don't tell me he's just a normal guy, because that would be very disappointing.
No, he's not normal. He's so not normal, it's not even funny. But as far as his antics and what he does is his unconventional ways, but knowing him as an individual and a friend, he really is. He's a great guy. I mean, he was been one of my dear friends for 20 plus years.
Does he come down to visit you here?
He's come once. Actually, that was last year. He came down and.
I'm so happy you have me here because I'm 2 degrees now
from Dennis Rodman.
From Dennis.
Yeah.
I mean, I never thought I'd get there. And look,
Well, if
And
he comes back.
as a Chicagoan, I'm, by DNA, have to be jealous of you now
Oh,
that
sure.
you know him.
Yeah, no, he actually he's been a really great friend. I mean, actually, I lived with him for
Okay, now
about
we're
3
getting somewhere.
No, not that way. That was actually when
No, I wasn't
when
expecting
I
you to be. You weren't his boyfriend or anything. You're roommates.
We
You
were
were Dennis
roommates.
Rodman's roommate.
Yeah, he allowed me to move into his beach house for a few months when I actually split from my first wife.
What?
Yeah, I've been married twice.
Okay. How long were you married to the first one?
Way too fucking
Too long.
Yeah.
What took you so long to
About
figure that out?
about a year. We were married about a year.
For one whole year.
One entire year.
That's not that
Yeah.
long. When did you
I
notice
hope
it was
wasn't
going
a
off
leap
the
year.
Right. What's that?
I hope it wasn't a leap year.
That extra
no,
day.
right, exactly. No.
What month into it did you notice it was going off the rails?
Maybe month one.
First month.
Yeah.
How long had you known each other before you got married?
Maybe 6 months, maybe.
What made you?
It was. Well, I was nuts. I
Katie,
was,
tell me.
That's impressive.
It-
To like, think,
Yes.
even to think that
Right. It's brave.
I totally.
Were
You
there
know-
drugs involved? That might explain.
Yeah, I did all kind of drugs. I mean,
Was she
it
as high as you?
No, she was actually very, very sober.
Okay.
And I was, I was 24 years old, trying to be a rock star and do all those things, and it just wasn't conducive to
So you
a
fucked it up,
relationship.
basically.
Well, sure, but
Not really.
Well,
That's not your real opinion.
I did, but it was we just were not good for one another.
Life
let's just
happens.
Yeah.
Life happens.
So everybody went their separate ways.
Everybody went their separate
Okay.
ways. We did have a child together, and I have a wonderful 18-year-old son. He's a brilliant kid.
He's 18 already, so this
He's
was
18.
going back.
Yeah.
Is he a musician or is he
No, he's
smart enough to
he-
move away from it?
he didn't go the music route. He's actually he's going to be a real estate agent. He's
Okay.
working.
a bit
with,
more sensible.
Yeah.
Is he here or is he in LA?
He's in LA.
Going to be a real estate agent in LA? That might be a handy guy to know.
Yeah. No, he's been interning for the last 6 months at a brokerage, and he's studying to get his. He's only 18, and he's studying to get his license. And
Is he going to college or is he not going to bother
No,
with that?
no, he's going.
Screw that.
Yeah, he's school isn't for everyone.
Right. Well,
and,
basically nobody.
And also, like these days, it's just like it's so optional. As long as you're putting the work in somewhere, you're probably going to be fine.
Absolutely.
And you only have 50,000 debt.
Exactly. You'll
at
probably be better
least.
off than the people who do
Yeah.
go to college in that respect.
Well, some people are paying $50,000 or more a year.
know.
I think
Yeah,
Tulane
it's,
is like $60,000 a year to get a liberal arts degree.
I mean, you think about that.
believe that.
Yeah, and what are you going to do with that? Like really?
Be a real estate agent, probably. So you could skip the whole thing.
Exactly.
Hey, Andrew, you want to play something before we get back to Dennis Rodman's story?
I'll play you a song. I gotta go grab the guitar though. Can you talk
Okay.
amongst yourselves?
Yeah, we can have one more Dennis Rodman chapter before
Sweet.
you play something. So,
Sweet.
what is he doing with himself now, Dennis?
Dennis, he just he does his appearances, and
He makes a living out of being Dennis Rodman.
he does. He basically does. That's what he's Dennis Rodman, and people pay him to show up to events. And
what does he have to do when he gets there?
nothing.
He just has to show up.
hangs
Does he have to
out
be
and
freaky and weird or
He
something?
no, he takes pictures with some people and hangs out, and they give him some money and he leaves.
What does he look like in real life? Is he like 6'9" or something?
About 6'8".
6'8".
Yeah.
And does he have that giant thing through
He
his
does.
bottom lip?
He certainly
every
does.
day?
Every day.
Wow.
He
okay.
certainly does.
And does he have a girlfriend or anything like that?
He's got many girlfriends.
Okay.
He was married a couple times, and he's got Dennis. I believe he's got 4 kids. 4 or 5
Okay.
kids. And
4 or 5, all right.
well, DJ, who is his son, that I believe DJ is 17, 18, is a brilliant basketball player.
Do your kids know each other?
My son and DJ actually do know each other. Yeah.
They do. So it's going on to the next generation, the Rodman.
Exactly.
Rodman Arcement. Hey, what kind of a name is Arcement? It's spelled A-R-C-E-M-E-N-T, Arcement.
It's Arcement, yeah.
You know, what does that mean? Something?
I'm sure it does. I have no
I
idea.
wonder why
what
there's
it
not
means.
2 T's at the end of Arcement.
I don't know. We should
need to call. We got a few people to call. We need to call your dad about that, and we have to call Dennis Rodman and see when he's coming on Happy
We
Hour.
do.
That's what,
We actually
because Tom's
do.
coming back for that show, for sure. Okay, Andrew, you good to go?
Yeah, sure.
Pretty
I'll
good.
play
What are you thinking of playing here?
Well-
are you okay there? You look a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I got
Squeezed
that
in.
there on purpose, actually.
Okay.
Well, you know, it's all these creatives around the table. It's tempting to play something polished, but I'll continue. I'll continue my streak of playing a new song.
Okay.
Here's a little something. Can you hear that guitar? There it is.
Some nights the skies get heavy, clouds rest up on dry land, ghosts come a-tumbling over the levee. To you I reach out my hand. You to me is as far as I can see. The rest is pitch black, just enough to see that I've been blind in all my looking back, just enough to feel the time stop. Let the healing begin on the nights when the fog rolls in. I remember as a child those nights, feeling safe and sound. The smoke billows like a pillow, covering up the whole town. The city sleeps and she wraps herself a shroud around you, quiet as a thief, believes everything right where she found it. And oh, so sweet how the haze that blinds us, it shines a light within on the nights when the fog rolls in. From you to me is as far as I can see, the rest is pitch black, just enough to see that I've been such a fool in all my looking back, just enough to feel the time stop. Let the healing begin. I love the nights when the fog rolls in.
Dude, good song, dude.
Thanks, appreciate
Killer.
it. Thanks.
Well, we've got things rolling along at a pretty high musical standard here today on Happy Hour. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that's a great
Tom,
song.
what do you
Thanks.
think?
I loved it.
Thanks a lot, y'all.
How
Glad
old
you
is
like it.
How old is that song?
It's not. My mom hasn't even. I don't know. You know.
Did you just write that today or
I
yesterday?
finished it today. Yeah, I guess I started. Yeah, last week. So.
You know, that's one thing that I just like. I love about the city and even moving back here. It's like come across guys like yourself. You know, Jack and I. That's how actually.
Right. And we know you through Jack Mealy from the. What's the name of the music shed?
The Music Shed, yeah, it's a studio that we run and we work out of, and Jack is actually when I moved here, obviously I was looking for someone to form a musical partnership with, and everyone that I asked, Jack's name came up, and so we formed a partnership, and going out and me being back in town and going and finding. Seeing what's out there and coming across, guys like yourself,
Oh, yeah,
singer-songwriters.
dude.
That's well, no. What I mean of how
just
great
playing.
everyone is.
Sure.
Because you think in L.A., because I had a studio back in L.A. too, and I would try to find artists to produce, and I mean it would be like 1 out of every 100 that had something that was just remotely interesting. And here, it just seems like everyone has something. And
But
I
here's
don't know.
the problem. There are a lot of great performers and songwriters, but there hasn't been anybody since Alan Toussaint who has created something that'll be played 50 years from now. Not even Harry Connick Jr. or Wynton Marsalis, who are at the very top of their fields, have created a standard.
I can't agree with you more.
How do we break that?
I think people get really jaded because knowing what the business side of things are now, that they almost stop themselves, as writers, and they write too cautiously, in regards to their craft and what they're doing, and if you craft a song for something, the result isn't going to be as good as if it comes from another place.
I actually have a question for all you musicians on that matter. Do you feel that, moving out of the city, even after spending significant time here or growing up here, do you think that move necessarily that some musicians make away from, our lack of industry here, do you think that affects someone's ability to leave a legacy like the one you're talking about, like a standard, or not at all?
It hasn't, but it does improve your music life in other ways. I mean, Wynton and Harry wouldn't be where they were if they hadn't have moved to New York, of course. But I'm talking about repertory.
Sure.
And I mean, there are pop groups, and of course there was the bounce, hip hop scene, which created its own. Will people be doing that stuff 50 years from now? I don't know. Maybe they will. I think there are already like rap oldies shows out there. But, but that's not my world at all.
Of course.
And I'm an old white guy, and it's just not my world. So
yeah, and it's become being a producer and being in the studio business. Of course, we see a lot of what's out there, and I got to tell you, man, it's impressive of what comes through the studio, of how good a lot of the music actually is, versus what I've seen in other parts of the country.
But what Tom's question is, I think, is where is it going from there?
Well, the New Orleans brand is strong because there's so many players who can go on the road as a New Orleans musician and make a living.
Sure.
But at the same time, a lot of them have to play Hey Pocky way, So.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, as a working musician, there's always that rub, of having to make money and having to go out and work and doing what you got to do to keep your bills paid, and then you have your creative side of things, and if you can sustain yourself that way.
But Tom, what are you getting at? What would you like to see going on here?
Well, I'd like I'd like to see new standards.
But what do you mean?
I don't
What-
mean new
what is-
guidelines. I mean new songs
that
are written.
stand
Okay.
the test of time.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is Jack and I were having this conversation the other day. It's almost like you couldn't write another Goodbye Yellow Brick Road because no one would fucking get it. Like, I'm seriously, the attention span of, I mean, obviously you have your target audiences, right? So, you know, the music that you write, of course, you're not writing it in order to appeal to a certain audience. You write it because it's coming out of you. I'm like saying, okay, I'm going to appeal to 25 to 35-year-olds with this one that I'm about to start writing. But what I'm talking about is the crafting of that kind of song, the arrangement, the song, the lyric, in referencing a classic song. Like an Elton John song.
Aren't we living in a world where there are no classics anymore? I mean, you can be a hit, you can have a hit in a genre and be super successful, and the rest of the world hasn't heard of you. I mean, we don't have a classic. There's no place for a standard anymore, is there?
And I think, it's because mainly it's just it's being safe. It's like, you know, for one to find an artist that is capable of producing a song that would be considered a classic song is, you know, there's not that many of them out there. I mean, as far as the artists that we think of, you know, our Lady Gagas of the world and you know, our John Mayers of the world, if you will, you know. Now, leading up to what would be considered a classic, I think what we would consider a classic song, maybe that's not what someone else would consider of a younger age group, because I'm I'm with you on that, you know.
Yeah, well, that's true. I'm just thinking of New Orleans. Well, people always come here and want to hear stuff that's at the latest from the 70s.
Are you writing current New Orleans piano music?
Yeah, I've written instrumentals and occasional songs.
Do you want to play one?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, what are you thinking of? What sort of...
Oh, I wasn't thinking of this as a standard or a pop song, certainly.
Right.
But I write my own music.
Yeah, you've written tons of music. I mean,
a lot of it, yeah.
You've got that beautiful record. What is that record called? All the Keys and then some? Mm-hmm. That's got some amazing stuff on. That is an awesome record. What are you thinking of playing now? That would be a good example.
I'll play a piece called The Gospel Waltz That Wasn't.
Okay.
Thank you.
Beautiful too. What do you call that?
The gospel waltz that wasn't.
The gospel
because it
waltz.
starts off as a gospel waltz and then quickly goes into non-gospel
Right.
waltz territory. But I started out wanting to
Right.
write a gospel waltz.
I didn't know there was such a thing as a gospel waltz.
Well, it's usually not instrumental music. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Do you sing at all?
I croak.
You do? Once in a while you sing something?
Once in a while. Yeah.
Katie, are you still going out to hear music? You've been here for 5 years, so you might be still going out to hear a lot of music.
I am. I'm going out a lot less. It's because I'm exhausted all the time. I'm sure you guys know what that feels like.
It starts to wear on you after a while.
But I was out on Sunday night at Gasa Gasa, just down the street, checking out Sightsee. They're relatively new.
Sightsee, so we should
yeah,
know about
one
them.
word, Sightsee, spelled how you think it is. And they're pretty amazing. They're on Spotify and all the different socials. But
Okay.
it was really cool. It's for me, it's really cool to see how people kind of slightly older than me in my specific age bracket and slightly younger than me are taking their knowledge and their experience of living in New Orleans and going to school in New Orleans and, you know, playing in New Orleans and the educations that come from that, and seeing how they adapt that into their music. And finding that thread is something that's always really fascinated me since I got here.
So the site, we should know about Sightsee. Who else? I see you have a
I'm wearing the Naughty Professor shirt right now. I was
T-shirt.
just on the road with them for like a month.
Really?
They were awesome.
Those
Yeah.
guys are really talented
They're
musicians.
very talented and just the sweetest dudes you would ever meet.
You
They
went
were-
out on for a month with
Yeah, so
Naughty
I was
Professor.
I was with Naughty Professor, Big Frida, and Tank and the Bangos.
That was one. That was a triple bill.
It was one tour. There were like 35 or 40 of us, like from New Orleans, rolling deep for a month together. It was pretty incredible. It was
Wow.
a really good crew.
You must have got some great photos out of that.
Yes.
Were you there? Were you there as a photographer?
Photographer, and I was lording over all the merchandise as well. So
Okay.
it was just nonstop.
What a
It
great
was high energy.
show.
But you know, the Naughty Professor guys were like the breath of like chill, cool air, and you like leave whatever high energy moment you're in and go into their group, and they're like, "You suck." And you're like, "Oh, you're exactly who I needed to see right now."
But Tank and the Bangers were huge there for 5 minutes. Are they still rolling along as?
They're definitely, you know, every step of the way picking up more and more fans,
Right.
and you know,
It's hard to
gaining
tell.
speed along the way.
It's hard to tell from here in New Orleans.
They're gone so often,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty incredible. And after being on the road with them, that they never stop thinking about. The core of the band is born and raised here, you know. So I don't think it would be possible for them to stop thinking about New Orleans
Right.
and their connection to it. But they are very aware of the legacy that they're carrying with them while they tour the world, and that's really cool to see.
Representing New Orleans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So you're going to stay here? What's your plan?
I'm here for the foreseeable future. I've got no plans to leave.
Right. Are you stuck here now?
I don't
Can
know.
you can you not imagine leaving? That's how
I
most of
think
us ended up stuck.
By the time, you know, my lifespan is coming to the tail end, that there's going to be some pretty major climate issues on anywhere that's on the coast. So we'll see how that goes. But
You think you're going to live long enough that you're going to be here when the when the water's up
who
to
knows?
here for Rhett Street?
Who
Will it?
knows? I mean,
That's a long way
again,
away.
I have no idea, but I love it here, and I've got no plans to leave
All right.
soon. So.
Brent, are you staying now that you're back?
Oh yeah.
You guys have this recording studio. Hey, who's calling you? Anybody good?
I've got an event tonight, actually, for the Sexism Project. So I've got guests and team members and
that's
people in
all
the space
going.
texting me, but it's all good.
What are you doing tonight? Are you
It's
recording it?
No, it's a private dinner for all the subjects of the project thus far. And we're just getting together for like snacks and alcohol and just hanging. And
So
it's
all these women who were the strippers and hookers and everybody are all going to be in the same
along
place.
with the music industry women. But you know, they're
Wow.
they're just women too. You know.
Yeah, but
You
that's
know,
an
they're
interesting
just
bunch
doing
of
a
people.
job.
That's an interesting networking opportunity.
It's going to be really interesting. Definitely networking can happen at any point in this city with anybody. But
Where are you going, all you people?
It's going to be at the Art Garage. But like I said, it is private. We're going to have more public events soon. So not that we don't want everyone there, but you know, it's
I'm
something
really
special for the subject.
interested in this whole thing that you're doing. We've got to get the hell out of here. But just briefly before we go, what is the plan with the Sexism Project? I mean, first of all, you've done musicians and people in the sex industry. Who are the next bunch of women who you're going
we are
after?
actually going to be announcing the next industry that we'll be featuring very soon.
Okay, so you can't tell
I
us.
can't tell you right now.
Okay, let's have a guess.
But it is something that's very, like music and sex work. It's something that is inherently tied to New Orleans culture. So I'll leave you guys with that. But, what we, big picture, want to be doing is focusing on a different industry with every installment of the project. So from there, we could go many different places.
Tom, you want to guess what that would be? What section of women are tied to New Orleans?
Well,
would come
focus
after
on the
sex
industry that is tied to the culture of New Orleans.
The industry that's tied to the culture of New Orleans.
Food.
Very good.
Food, okay.
That is correct.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so we
So
got
the
it in
food
one.
service
Good job.
industry will
Susan
be
Spicer,
Ah.
Susan and her spawn.
All right. So that includes chefs and waitresses.
chefs,
and
waitresses, bartenders, cater waiters. Essentially, if there is a woman or a female identifying individual who feels they fall into whatever industry we are presenting and they feel like speaking, then they are welcome. And that is really cool.
That is very cool. It's a very cool project.
Thank you.
And Tom, where do we get to see you in the near future?
I'm doing these Booker and Professor Longhair and
that's
then
gonna
my
be
regular
great.
gigs, but I'm very excited because I had an 8-year gig with Mashia Lake at Chickawawa, and she moved out Cork, Ireland, but she's coming back for a week, and I have 2 gigs at Chickawawa with her on
that's gonna be
December 2nd and January 2nd. So it's going to be
Okay.
a great homecoming.
That is
for
good.
her.
And we'll see you two in December at the Booker birthday party
it's
at the
next
Maple
week.
Leaf.
Next week I got a Harry,
the-
Harry Shearer show and a Booker show and
Oh, my
a
God.
loose cattle show and just all
All
these
right.
shows.
And we've got a link to your stuff on our website. It's neworleans.com.
I need to update that. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about all these tattoos, Brent, but we've run out of time,
No
so we'll have to
problem.
do that next time. Who did all these tattoos? Do you get them done?
No, a guy
Here or New- or
in
Los
California. Yeah, a guy by the name of Steve Schultz in Costa Mesa. He's my
Very
tattoo guy.
Whose face is that?
This
that like
is
an
all
Indian?
like Mayan, Native American.
Right.
It's actually a totem pole.
Oh, wow.
All sort of tied in together.
It looks great. It looks super painful.
Well, he's like one of the better black and gray tattoo artists in Southern California.
Schultz.
So, Steve Schultz.
Steve Schultz
Schultz,
changed
yeah.
his name. Okay, I like that. Well, they'll get on to
you,
that
man.
next time. Thank you so much for being here. Katie Sikora, we've got a link to your stuff too on our website. It's neworleans.com. Andrew, it's been a hell of a 2018. It's
Great to
all
see you,
over.
dude. Yeah,
I
here we
know.
are. I guess,
We're
yeah,
back.
onward.
We have nothing to do for weeks now until 2019.
Yeah.
I just have to tell you today, thank you very much to the people at Basic Swim and Gym. We can get a full range of fashion swimsuits and workout and yoga clothes with style. Basic Swim and Gym is right next to the lingerie store, Basics underneath on Magazine Street near Jefferson Avenue. And thank you, too, to Hangover Destroyer, the only all-natural product medically proven to prevent a hangover. Go to H-Destroyer. You should know about this, Katie. Go to hdestroyer.com, write happy hour in the coupon code, and you can get 30% off of Hangover Destroyer. And you, too, can seize the door. And thank you also to the Positive Vibrations Foundation, who create and encourage community through the development and preservation of the arts, music, culture, and heritage. And once again, if you'd like to be a member of our Patreon family, go to patreon.com and search for It's New Orleans Happy Hour. And for as little as $1 a month, you too can be a member of our Patreon family and get all sorts of exclusive stuff. That's about it for 2018, everybody. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
you for having
Thanks,
us.
y'all.
Happy
This
holidays.
has been a
y'all.
great... Yeah, happy holidays, everybody. We'll see you in 2019. The producer of our show is Graham DePonte. Our music producers are Christian Unruh and Monique Pyle. Thomas Walsh is our technical director, and Asher Griffith is our Facebook Live feed director who put this whole thing on Facebook Live. If you didn't see it on there the first time, go back and take a look at our It's New Orleans Facebook page. Our fact checker and social media connector is Andrew Searock. Our theme music was written by and is currently being played by Mitch Foreman. If you'd like to be on our show and you can stay upright for about an hour while drinking alcohol, drop us a line. Our address is on our website. It's neworleans.com. You can also check out many other hours of happy hour that we made previously, as well as other shows we make around here, including Out to Lunch with Peter Raschuti, live from Commander's Palace, Louisiana Eats with Poppy Tucker, and our award-winning podcast about death, which is called Death the Podcast. You can find other great Louisiana podcasts at itsacadiana.com and it's batonrouge.la. You can keep up with us on a bunch of time-sucking social media, actually. like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. On all of it, we're called It's New Orleans. You can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com and on our Facebook page and on our Instagram feed as well. On all of them, we're called It's New Orleans. And those photos were taken today by Jill LaFleur. You can find more of Jill's photos at lafleurphoto.com. If you listen to this on your favorite podcast app, thank you for subscribing to us. Take a moment if you've got one to rate and review us. That helps other people find us. If you listen to us on Spotify, you can follow us and get happy hours delivered to you each week. Our show is recorded live today at Wayfair on Ferret Street in Uptown New Orleans. Happy Hours, a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For Andrew Duhon, everyone around here at the table at Wayfair and back at our office at INO, thanks for joining us on Happy Hour. It's been a hell of a 2018. We look forward to continuing things in 2019. Till then, I'll see you back here. I'm Grant Morris. I'll see you back here in about, 3 weeks? 4 weeks. Oh, my God. See you then for more Happy Hour.